Welcome to 50 Minutes of Amoofy, real voices, real moments, and the stories that might just keep yours. Today, we sit with someone whose ability to connect the dots, to navigate strategy, and incredible intentionality about including voices and creating positive impact has shaped so much of what Amoofy is becoming. Our future architect and my dear friend, Mark. Welcome, Mark, to the show.
Good to be with you, Luis.
Mark, to get us started, um, what's a story or experience that you can share with us and that shape how you show up in the world today?
Hmm. There's many, as you can imagine. I think, it started up, and I know we've talked about this before, my mom was always pushing me, prompting me to think for myself, to form my own sense of intuition about things. So she'd always ask me how I felt about things. And I think that's the beginning of a long kind of process that over time I've been able to increasingly uh, not only rely on my intuition, but to allow myself the freedom to follow it and not just generally, but moment to moment. And I think that's the challenge that I have for myself, although I try to make it just every moment as rich, as present as I can be. I mean, that's the thing that stands out always for me is um, and I'll probably think of a story later, but the presence that I can feel with people is and to listen has always been like uh I would say an asset for me. I think probably the story that I would tell that's funny is that when I got my first review on Wall Street, when I was on Wall Street, it was after like a 8-week training program, like the Wall Street training programs. And one of the directors said, Mark, you know a lot about what's going on, but you're just too quiet. You're just too quiet. So I don't think you're gonna make it here. And I'm like, okay. So, but that listening, that being quiet and letting people show up how they should show up or can show up, and you and I share that. You're a master at this as well.
I love that story, right? Um, and I can see it. I can picture it. And then multiple years later, like, yeah, I was able to make it here in Wall Street, and now I'm doing something different. Um, which we love about you. When you think about those early days, whether family wise or community wise or early professional life, um, what what are you continuing to carry forward with you? So if you think about, yeah, like maybe go directly with family or culture or community. Like what is something that you learn early on and that still guides you and that you think
Yeah.
that you carry forward?
Yeah, I think I mean, basketball was my first love. So it all starts from there. And following what we were just talking about, in sports, particularly basketball, you're completely present, but you're not really thinking, but you're still acting. So that's like, can I be playing basketball while I'm talking to you? You know, like can I be present and, but intuitively respond to your question? That's something that stays with me. And I think the other thing, I've always been super interested in lots of things. Like, a friend of mine, when before I went to Europe with him after graduate school, he would come into our room and I would have 6 books, 3 magazines, and like, 4 other things that I was reading at the same time. And that's expressed itself over and over in the transdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, non-disciplinary, however you want to talk about it, from Wall Street to the Buckminster Fuller Institute to I just really value lots of people that do comprehensive thinking, and that's what led me to even work with the Guild of Future Architects and kind of work under that name of future architect, uh, which really just to me it's combines the artistic or the narrative, the storytelling side with the rigor of a science or a research lab, and like having those together, when I approach things, it keeps getting expressed through me in different ways as I've gotten older.
It's so interesting that you mentioned the ability to listen and be quiet, but then you have this intuition about connecting different disciplines, and you just elevated the importance of narrative. Um, One thing that I love about you as well, Mark, is how you have really embraced and pushed us to understand voice as a medium. And it's just very interesting that through your story, as we're hearing it, there's voice has appeared. Voice has appeared in your childhood, and then as you're kind of explaining what future architect, the discipline that you're embracing as well.
Yeah, I have been a longtime fan of Marshall McLuhan in the way that he analyzes media and media formats. And, he would always say the medium is the message. Well, so what does that mean? So if you think of just broadcast media as being a few major players broadcasting programming to many, the internet was essentially any node can talk to any other node. And so instead of programming, we went from, well, that kind of broadcasting metaphor to a decentralized environment where anybody can talk to anybody. And that decentralized, that medium of decentralization is actually more important and more significant than the content that gets laid on top of these mediums. And so when I think about, okay, if you wanted to create a medium and you knew that the medium itself was the most important thing, the effect of the medium itself, not the content that sits on it necessarily, I keep coming back to voice and the human voice, especially in this moment of machine learning and AI. Um, and also observe, if there's a way to observe how we're connected, if you look up effects of observing interconnectedness, it's unbelievable. Like all the positive things that happen when people are able to see how things connect together, it's incredible. And that's, what we're trying to do both is not only elevate the human voice, but connect them in whether it's in real time or asynchronously, um, in one moment or over long periods of time. So yeah, it's I'm just you found me, and we just we're already down the same rolling down the same path. So Amplified is the result.
And we're so blessed. We're so blessed to have you in shaping this co-created path together. Mark, what brings you joy these days?
Mm. Yeah, I think probably the thing that brings me the most joy is um, just uh, being in nature in any way, shape, or form. Um, I definitely meditate a lot. So while you wouldn't think meditation is a joyful practice, but the impact or the effect of it uh, is joy. And I think if there's anything that we could and should strive for in this moment of craziness, this chaos, this like unprecedented time period we're living in, it is um, bringing joy to whatever we're doing in the moment, in the process, being less attached to the outcome of what we're doing, but being present and showing up and enjoying what we're doing, whatever that is. And so, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question
You
completely.
did. You did. I think there's a lot of wisdom for anybody that will listen to this conversation. Let me take this a little bit further, and thinking about your kids and maybe future generations. What's one hope that you have for them?
Yeah, my biggest hope for them, and particularly, it started with my kids, is that they're able to actually not just follow their own intuition and be nurtured to follow their own intuition, but that our systems that are being that are not working now are transformed into ones that support that at the individual human level, to be ourselves, to find our own integrity, to stand on our own, to be able uh, to watch ourselves as we evolve, to pay attention to that, to understand the pattern that we are, um, but in relationship to others. That's in all happiness studies, that is the thing, is, it's one of the highest things is after your individual needs, it's in being in relationship with others. And that's one of the greatest crisis moments that we have now, is the isolation that's come from a combination of COVID, social media, and why we have to find another way to allow people to be in relationship together and to listen. And that's why the narrative transformation precedes systems transformation. It always has. People, what we talk about, what we pay attention to becomes our reality eventually. So we need to move away from this uh, very isolated entertainment industrial complex vision of the world, because it's nothing like that. Our world is nothing like that, but yet we're almost addicted in many ways to watching that spotlight. Um, but there's so many voices, as you know, that we've talked through in our work, through philanthropy and investing in unheard voices, marginalized communities, and that doesn't mean unheard voices doesn't mean that you're poor or you grew up in a harsh environment. There's so many unheard voices everywhere. It's just our media forms have not been able to capture, without the entertainment aspect, but that authentic wisdom and insight that all of us have, that still lies with in our heads and in our minds. So
I would love for my kids and the future generations to live in that world. Um, and Mark, one last question. Um, why would anybody listening to this now join the Amoofy movement?
yeah, well, I think for a lot of the reasons that we just talked about, I think the human voice is the medium that's most important right now. I think you'll hear this from other people as well. Like Yuval Noah Harari in his latest book, Lexus. It's the human story is the most important voice that we can listen to. I think if I believe if you can help us participate by sharing your own voice with Amify, and we can continue to build the technical structure in service of the human voice, using AI in service of the human voice to make that human intelligence and wisdom accessible. If AI can do that, help us do that, that's for me the highest purpose of AI right now.
Thank you, Mark. I
Always.
it's I have had um a lot of fun. Felt incredibly grateful and blessed since this journey started. But then when I build this with partners and friends like you, I couldn't ask for anything more. So um, thank you for being here, Mark. Thank you for your words of wisdom, and to our community, thank you for listening to this moment of humanity. If you felt something, share it. If you heard the truth, follow it. And if you see someone, take a moment, pause, and consider asking for their story. Thank you.
Beautiful, Luis. Thank you.